Hey, welcome back to Rob Wright's Gen X Pop Culture. Tonight we're continuing our journey through the original Transformers cartoon with a look at Transformers G1 seasons 3 and 4. Uh, it's a very different period of time for the Transformers. It's after the movie, it's post movie. Not going to give away any spoilers of the movie because we're going to cover it on its actual 40th anniversary on Saturday. But at this point, Optimus Prime is no longer leading the Autobots at the beginning of season 3. Megatron had become Galvatron. Cybertron was back under Autobot control, and the series moved away from an Earth-based adventure into a much larger science fiction universe. We got new aliens, new planets, all kinds of stuff in these two seasons. Tonight, we're going to talk about the major episodes and story arcs from season 3 and 4. We're also going to look at pictures of the original toys from the 1980s, and I'll show you the masterpiece and modern action figures from my own collection. Uh, as always, I want to be interactive show, so please let me know what you think in the chat below, and we'll get started right now. Okay. Folks, just a few housekeeping things real quick. Hey, I've got a poll out there about season 3. Kind of interesting answers to questions if you want. Uh, it's fun. And also, how do you feel about Rodimus Prime becoming the leader? Let me know in the comments below. I want to welcome in Crouching Taylor Hidden Swift. Glad you're here. Johnny Freehole, glad you're here. If anybody else is in here, please join the chat. I read a lot of the comments. I'm always appreciative of anything you guys have to say or anything you have to add because I know a lot, but I don't know everything about Transformers. So hopefully we get some more information from the chat as you guys know and as you guys want to share your own experiences. But please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. That really helps it. And also, after the stream's done, if you want to leave some comments, that also helps. Let's begin with one of the biggest changes in Transformers history. It basically begins after the movie, and it's completely changed by the events of the animated movie. The animated movie was phenomenal. It was unique. Basically, the animated movie did some crazy things with some of our favorite characters, and hopefully get more people in here. By the way, I hope everybody's having a good night. But at the beginning of season 3, the Autobots are basically based on Cybertron, and the Earth has its own defense system. And if you catch a couple of things here, couple of cool crossover notes here that we'll mention as we get into some of these episodes. G.I. Joe and Transformers were both Hasbro products, and they were both two of my favorite ones, by the way. They were both cartoons, and they kind of overlapped with some of the episodes in the way of storytelling. And if you notice a couple of things, there's an appearance of a G.I. Joe character in Transformers. It's the first official crossover, although they don't really mention his name. He does shout something at the very end, and I've got screenshots of that because it's a cool little episode. It's a weird episode, but it's pretty cool. So they cross over with one of the storylines, but also Marissa Fairborn is one of the key human characters, and her dad is Flint from G.I. Joe, and presumably her mom's Lady J. So Fairborn is Flint's real name. So pretty cool. So yeah, give me one sec here. Okay, so we've got Rodimus Prime is the leader of the Autobots. Galvatron's the returns to lead the Decepticons. Major change for any television series. It was especially dramatic for children who had spent 2 seasons watching Optimus Prime and Megatron duel it out. You had familiar Earth locations, human allies, recognizable vehicles, but season 3 was more cosmic. They traveled alien planets, deal with strange creatures, political conflicts, ancient technology, and threats that affect entire worlds. And we're introduced to a third faction that kind of fights both Decepticons and Autobots and uses both of them in different ways. The tone was a little bit darker and more experimental. Some of the episodes feel like traditional Transformers adventures. Others feel like science fiction anthology stories. We also get a new generation of major characters, and I'm about to show you some of those right now. Give me a sec here. Let me add this to the stage. Okay. And here are major Autobot characters from seasons 3 and season 4. Kind of cool. A lot of new characters, a lot of new colors. It's amazing how many characters they were able to cram in to the 3-part season 4 episode. Which is kind of cool. And then here are the Decepticons. So, bunch of new factions, and then a lot of cool characters on both sides. And then here are the toy sheets. I love these sheets. What do you guys think? Did you guys like the sheets that it came with that showed you what toys were available? Angular Spanish, welcome. Glad you're here. But yeah, these toy sheets were kind of cool. One of the only original figures on there still is Soundwave, which is pretty cool. And here's another set of sheets. It was always pretty cool to have like a checklist of figures that I've got and figures that I wanted. Um, and a lot of times we would see these in catalogs before they actually came out, like the Sears catalog and stuff like that, so that we got to see what was coming. Um, all right, so we're going to begin with Hot Rod and Rodimus Prime. Uh, Hot Rod was introduced in the movie as a young, impulsive Autobot who ultimately opens up the matrix of leadership and becomes Rodimus Prime. What I like about Hot Rod's design is that it immediately tells you something about its personality. And hang on one second. Boy, allergies. Not fun. Thank you. Sorry for sneezing. Um, yeah, I mean, it tells you immediately about his personality. He looks youthful. He looks like someone who acts and thinks later. The original toy is a great futuristic vehicle mode, especially after for the 1980s. The masterpiece version is designed much closer to the animated character. Let me go ahead and bring out Hot Rod real quick, and I'll also bring out Rodimus Prime. Give me one sec. Let me bring these figures out. The masterpiece figures are really cool. Okay, so here is my masterpiece Hot Rod figure. I'll show it right here. Pretty cool. Got the fire design. Turns into a really cool sports car. The Hot Rod figure is fans' choice. Still pretty good. He looks great. The arms are a little bit flimsy because of the piping right here. I don't know if they're ever going to give us a version 2. It just, the articulation wise isn't as strong. He also does come with a Target Master, and I'll show the Target Master later on when I talk about Headmasters and Target Masters. But I still think he looks good on the shelf. He's really cool. I like him. And Hot Rod's seen in this season as well, as he was seen in the movie. Turns into like a real cool futuristic sports car, which I thought was really cool. We didn't have him back in the day. My brother and I didn't, but we had Rodimus Prime. And here is Rodimus Prime. And this is the Hasbro Rodimus Prime. And the weird thing about him, Hasbro was trying to do a gimmick where you can make him Hot Rod or Rodimus Prime. You see up here that like his face, you could change the face on him, and then move this up and down. And he's okay. He's not that great a figure. He's a little bit flimsy. There's another third-party company that put out a Rodimus Prime that's a little bit better, and then the Takara one's a little bit better than this one. The Fans Toys or X-Trans Bots, I wish would come out with a new Rodimus Prime because we need a new design. Also, you know, the gun splits up to where you can make 2 guns like Hot Rod. But yeah, Rodimus Prime, and he turns into a futuristic truck. So more about Rodimus Prime and Hot Rod as we get to the movie. And I think, let's see, I don't know. There you go. There's the Matrix. Right there. He's easier to open up than Prime was. So, anyway, these are Hot Rod and Rodimus Prime. Love Hot Rod. Don't. This one's okay. I hope they come out with a new one so I can replace him. So, give me a sec and I'll show you some other figures here. Okay, so we had Hot Rod and Rodimus Prime. Uh, you know, I think Hot Rod looks better. Rodimus Prime, like I said, larger feature vehicle. He has his own trailer. I do have the trailer, but it's kind of stored away. I don't keep it. The cool thing about the trailer and the cool thing about him when I had the toy, was that he could pull out the trailer, and the trailer had a gun, had a cool like gun that he could get behind, and it was like a Gatling gun. It was kind of cool. So, but yeah, here's the toy Rodimus Prime. Here's some of the other ones. Ultra Magnus. We had him. We had Springer. Didn't have Cup or Blur, but I had a friend that had that. And then RC never got an official Hasbro toy from back in the day, but this was actually the prototype for her, and it just never materialized. So So the unique thing about the season 3 was that Optimus Prime was confident and calm and control. Rodimus was frequently questioning himself. He wonders whether he deserves the Matrix. He worries a lot about making the wrong decision. And granted, he just became the leader. He misses some of the freedom of Hot Rod, and we're going to find out about that in a couple of episodes. Some fans were frustrated at that, especially after watching Optimus Prime for 2 seasons. However, you know, the self-doubt makes Rodimus a little bit more human, more relatable. He's not simply another Optimus Prime. and he's someone learning how to carry responsibility. Um, so kind of cool. Um, all right, next we have Ultra Magnus, and he's another leader, and he's kind of a mentor to Rodimus. Key character throughout, great character, voiced in the movie by Robert Stack. And here we go with Ultra Magnus. This is the Fans Toys one. X Transbots also has a really good Ultra Magnus. I didn't get the X Transbots one, but I had the Takara. He's very heavy die cast. Cleans up pretty well in back. And actually, I could pull out the back, and there's kind of the cool thing about him is that he was a trailer that could transport other Autobots in car mode. And if you pulled out the kind of cab here, right there, section, it became like another Optimus Prime type toy. So it was cool. There are some versions of Ultra Magnus where later on in like the comics where it's really just a suit of armor that an alien robot wears, the Magnus armor, which is an interesting take on the character. But this guy was a cool leader. He was always self-sacrificing, and just that beautiful blue and red paint on him is just gorgeous. Really like him. Let me bring out a few other Autobots real quick to show you. Ultra Magnus is more comfortable carrying out orders than creating larger strategy himself. But he also helps Rodimus, and he leads very well. All right, so let me bring out Cup and Blur. Give me a sec here. Okay, so Cup, he transforms into a truck, futuristic truck. He's kind of like the old wise guy. He's been around for a long time. He's played by Lionel Strider in the movie. But he's a really good character. He's one that he always remembers stuff and tells stories. And is he's head of security for Cybertron. But he also can give advice and give guidance as to past events and memories. There's one particular episode where he relives what he felt was his greatest failure and gets to kind of redeem himself. So that's Cup. And here's Blur. That was Fans Toys Cup. And this is Fans Toys Blur. I think he looks beautiful. He's great. Love the dark blue and the light blue. He's the fastest car on wheels. He was played by John Machota. He's that micro machine guy that talks real fast. But yeah, he talks really, really fast. It's kind of the comic relief. Kind of annoying in a way. But he's also a really cool figure, I think. He looks great. He turns into kind of a futuristic hover car. That's really cool. And while those guns are pretty cool that he has. He also both he and Cup come with Target Masters, and I'll show those later. So, all right, give me one sec. And I'll bring out Springer and RC, kind of the lovebirds of the bunch. Thanks, guys. Give me one sec here. Okay. Here we go with Fans Toys RC, who didn't have her own toy from the 80s. This is what she looks like. She turns into a futuristic sports car. Pretty cool detail on the eyes. This is the Fans Toys version. Takara put out their version, and I think there's a couple other versions. Some of them are better than others. And we talked about last time that we had female Autobots. She's the only female Autobot in season 3. Even though we saw several of them in season 2, they never tell us what happened to the rest of them. Like Firestar, Moonracer, and Chromia. And also Elita 1. We never find out about them, but we have RC. She was also in the movie. Kind of has high heels here. So difficult to stand her up too, because she's got so much kibble on her backpack. You see the thing. She doesn't stand up as well, but really pretty eyes and lipstick. And there's a third-party component that you can give her a bigger chest if you want. For those of you that feel like you need to make her a little bit bustier. So I don't want to waste my money on that, but interesting stuff. So, and then one of my favorite Transformers, I had him as a kid, Springer. And Springer's an Autobot triple changer. This is the Fan Toys version. X-Transbots has a good version as well. There was the Springer Wars and the third-party Masterpiece line that just about all of them are really good. But Springer turns into a futuristic car, but also a helicopter. And he creates from the back. But it's kind of implied that Springer and RC were kind of a couple. But it's pretty cool. I do like Springer. He's one of my favorites. I had him as a kid. I always liked him. He's one of my favorite Transformers. So. All right. Couple of other people come in here. Optimus Prime walking in like, miss me? Lombardi 1969, good to see ya. Alex Nobila, glad to see ya. Haley Rogers, glad to see ya. Season 3 was messy, but honestly kind of fun. Love hearing someone break it down properly. Thank you. Appreciate that. Seeing Optimus come back never gets old. Pure childhood energy right there. Oh, yeah. We'll talk about that. Wait, I forgot how dark the Quintessons storyline was. Yeah. Bartho Koopman. Yes. The movie trauma hits every time. Yeah, it does. We're going to talk about the movie on its 40th anniversary on Saturday. Still can't believe Optimus came back like that. Yeah, it's interesting. The Simpsons Vault. Hi. Glad all you guys could join me. Welcome. All right, let's get back to some of these slides here, and I'll put these figures away. And some of Hot Rod Rodimus and Optimus Prime. So. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the Autobots. I found this picture on the web right here of Prime and Megatron. I thought that was great, and I do love the picture of Rodimus Prime right there, and then Rodimus Prime over here. Kind of cool stuff. But Galvatron, Megatron had become Galvatron. Cyclonus became Galvatron's most loyal lieutenant. Scourge leads the sweeps. These characters are not simply replacements for the original Decepticons. They have their own personalities and relationships. Cyclonus in particular becomes one of the strongest characters in season 3. He's loyal, intelligent, disciplined, and frequently more rational than Galvatron. Yeah, there's some crazy stuff that Galvatron does in season 3. And this brings us to the major opening story of season 3. Let's hear more of Galvatron, Cyclonus, the sweeps, and hear their toys. And Let me bring out their masterpiece figures real quick. Here are their toys back in the day. So back in the day, we didn't have any of these three. I had friends who had Cyclonus and Scourge, and of course Galvatron. Galvatron, he became kind of this. You could put the gun thing down. It became a ray gun. You push the buttons and everything lit up. The funny thing is that toy was gray, but in the cartoon he was like purple. And here is my version 1 of Galvatron. So this is my fans' toys. This is the earlier version before they came out with the movie version, before they came out with version 2, which they recently did, and they redid just a little bit of his styling. But I like the paint job. I like the uh, everything on this character, and he comes with the Matrix, um, and you got his cannon. You got the wheels for his cannon. You got his Michael Jackson shoes. Look at that. Smooth criminal shoes. But yeah, this is one of the first masterpiece toys that I got. I just thought he looked really cool. I still think he looks really cool on the shelf. Um, but that's my Galvatron. Go ahead and tie it on the head sculpt there. Kind of cool. Cool stuff. All right, let me bring out Cyclonus. Cyclonus is probably one of the best fans toys figures there is. Best masterpiece. Um, a lot of it is because you can do the IDW because it comes with a samurai look, which he had for IDW, and he has different head sculpts. But the paint is just beautiful on him. And he comes with the Target Master. But it's kind of cool, kind of weird to see like ninja type swords on a Transformer, but still, I think it looks really awesome. And he transforms into a futuristic jet. So here's the debated question. Which one is he? Who became Cyclonus? Bombshell or Skywarp? Who do you guys think? Yep, I forgot how wild season 3 gets. This is bring back memories. The animation jump is insane. Yeah. Haven't seen this stuff in years. Yeah, I'm glad you're liking it. OC Michael. Cyclonus was legit only Decepticon with his life together. Yeah, he was. Chat going wild. Yep, it never gets old. But yeah, Cyclonus is awesome. But I think he's Skywarp. That's my pick for Cyclonus. But we'll talk more about that on Saturday with the movie. All right, let me get Scourge and I'll bring a sweep out. Okay, so X Transbots put out Scourge in the sweeps first, and they just made them all the same, which was cool because you could get multiple ones and have them serve as the sweeps. And I got the 3-pack with the darker blue, and I use them as my sweeps now because Fans Toys put out their own Scourge. But this is one of my sweeps. I've got 4 of them actually, and I put them all on display together. But kind of cool. You see their beards and their weird pink fingernails and their boots. He turns into kind of a futuristic hovercraft or spacecraft. I always thought it was a weird look. So kind of cool. The good thing is that because I got the dark blue, it kind of kind of mix up because I'll show you Scourge. He's the light blue, and so it makes him stand out a little bit. But um, so my Fans Toy Scourge is right here. And the Fans Toy Scourge is like this. I love the metallic blue paint, the light blue. And then if you look at the tips of his toes, those are pretty awesome. Love that. It's just so cool. So, and he does come with the Target Master. We'll talk about those later on, but still, really cool figure. Look at those eyes. I love the detail on the face. Very cool figure. Like him a whole lot. All right, let me put these guys up real quick. Fortunately, they're right in front of me. Okay, let's get into this. So Five Faces of Darkness was the next episode to kick off season 3, and it was unique to say the least. There are 5 episodes that we started out with, and it was kind of fun for me to see it because like I had to kind of record it because my mom made me do homework right when I got home. And I had a friend who kept telling me spoilers, and I'm like, dude, I haven't seen the episode. I taped it. Let me watch it after I do my homework. um, but it's a true beginning to the post-movie era. The Autobots have defeated Unicron, the galaxy is celebrating. However, peace does not last. Cup, Spike, and Magnus disappear. The Autobots become involved in mystery surrounding the Quintessons. Galvatron is eventually found alive, but you don't see him until episode 2. And Rodimus Prime quickly learns that being the leader means dealing with dangers much more complicated than a simple battle between Autobots and Decepticons. One of the most important elements of the story is the return of Galvatron. So, basically, the Decepticons are banished to a planet called Char. They're barely functioning with Energon. They have no leader, no nothing. They're listless. And it's really kind of sad and pathetic. And Cyclonus and the Sweeps take some energy and try to track down Galvatron. They use Unicron head to do that, and they find Galvatron and bring him back, and that's what happens. So, Unicron has his experiences after the movie appear to have damaged him. He is more violent and more unpredictable and more dangerous to his own troops. Yeah, that's Galvatron for you. Anyway, Galvatron basically was unique. Megatron transformed on a handgun. He transforms into a futuristic cannon and a laser gun, as I showed you guys. I don't know. I like Megatron's toy a little bit better because I love playing with the gun rather than a radar gun. Cyclonus tries to keep Galvatron focused. He tolerates Galvatron's anger, but man, Galvatron is just crazy. We've got Scourge that I mentioned already. And if you look at some of these pictures, what happens is the Quintessons basically offer all the Decepticons Energon if they'll go attack the Autobots and take over Cybertron. It's really a trick. They kind of fool Galvatron into it as well. And basically, they fool him into thinking there's a Decepticon matrix of leadership. And here's where Galvatron was lying in a pool of lava, which I thought was kind of cool. You can see the animation error right there that's very glaring as you have an Insecticon from the original seasons. And if you know what happens in the movie, you know what happens to them. And then I don't know why Rumble's as big a sound wave here. It's like, what? What are you doing? Here's more from Five Faces of Darkness. Taking the Energon. Grimlock has a strong role. The Planet of Goo. The Sharkticons. And then we have interesting collage here of Decepticons attacking. Motormaster painted the wrong color. While we do have a few other ones here, you've got some weird ones that I've never seen. which chunks up to season 3 and all their animation errors. And, part of the animation errors in season 3 were because they basically loaned it off to a company in Mexico to finish up all the touches on the animation cells. And they did some wrong things as opposed to the United States. This is Unicron and his mouth. Here's some Quintessons. There's a Quintesson making judgment. Rodimus Prime. One of the opening tracks, Sharkticons. Of course, we have the Junkions and Wreck-Gar. You got Blur and Wheelie, and I've got Wheelie. I'll show you Wheelie in a minute. I'll show him when I show the mini bots. RC again. And then we have Triptychon. Triptychons formed here. You have at the beginning you have Constructicons trying to form Devastator. They do, and then Minosaur just kicks his butt. Blitzwing, who's interesting in this, he kind of opposes what's going on. It's an interesting version story. If it weren't for the animation errors, I think it'd be even better. But Five Faces of Darkness really does hold up really well. I do like it. We've got Quintessons, and we find out that they were the creators of the Autobots and Decepticons. And I do have a Quintesson that I'll show you in a minute. We're introduced to Skylynx. It's pretty cool, and I got Skylynx as well. So let's talk about the Quintessons first, real quick. They're the third faction. Made it interesting because they're a little bit different from Autobots and Decepticons because they will attack and ally with both of them, or try to kill both of them, or try to capture both of them. So you have 5 different faces on the judges. So that face right there represents death. I believe. Let me see what it was. Quintesson faces. One of them's war. One of them's judgment. One of them's chaos. Okay. Death, judgment, execution, prosecution, and manipulation. So those are the 5 faces. So death is I'll bring out the one, but that's the main one. The alligator cons that were these kind of troops, the Sharkticons. You have other different types of Quintessons that were part robotic, part biological. This is like the administrator here. They have a toy of this guy. There are a couple of toys of those, but I don't have all of them. I've got the main Quintesson, the main judge, and he's big. Let me bring him out real quick. All right. Here we go. Sucker's big. Okay. So okay. I'll just put him down here. All right, that's the face of death. That's judgment. That's prosecution. That's manipulation. That's execution. So, kind of cool stuff. Interesting way that they have it set up. 5 faces on this guy, and the cool thing about it is if it had the batteries, it doesn't really have the batteries on here. It they've got recorded language in there. I need to get the batteries, because if I had the batteries, it would be a little bit better. But you can push a button. There's a remote control that comes with it where the heads will swivel, and you get them to say lines from the TV show and the movie. But yeah, it's pretty cool, and they've got like these Airjon hands, and you could actually manipulate these things. So, but yeah, he comes with a stand, and on the stand, he's as big as any of the other Transformers. I mean, he's huge. So, pretty cool. I got him on sale. I don't know if I'm gonna find a display to do uh, the Quintessons, but I mean, still, I think this one looks pretty cool. I mean, 5-headed figure, beautifully painted. That one's the common one, kind of the skull one. So pretty cool stuff. So, all right, let me go put this guy away here. Let you see more of the Quintessons. Okay, I'm bringing out another figure that I didn't have as a kid, but a friend of mine had him, Skylinks. And basically, the cool thing about Skylinks, um, Skylinks turned into a space shuttle, and he had kind of the craft under here where he could store people, and people, he could really send them on missions and stuff. So another person other than Omega Supreme that could travel with the Autobots. It turns into like a kind of like a bird and a lynx animal here, and then they combine to form the big Sky Lynx. And the cool thing about him, and the character, he was very powerful, would fight against Predaking, and he was also uh, an arrogant warrior, but still pretty cool representation. Pretty big figure here. So Skylinks comes to the rescue of Blur and Wheelie for the transformation cog, uh, to get it back to Earth so that they can uh, get Metroplex. And Metroplex can defend himself against Trypticon, and Trypticon uh, gets created by the Constructicons. And Trypticon is a dinosaur, space station, and city, and he destroys the original Ark. Um, so it's kind of a cool transition just in this first episode here. So give me a sec. Let me put Skylinks up. Okay. So you had the Quintessons. But the big part about Transformers in this first episode, Five Faces of Darkness, as we got to towards the end, is we had a new set of Transformers City Bots, and City Bots were Metroplex and Trypticon. Um, Five Faces of Darkness gives us major action between Metroplex and Trypticon. Um, they were both city bots. They both turned into battle stations, and then Trypticon turned into a giant dinosaur, while Metroplex turned into a robot. You can see them right here. And it was so cool in Five Phases of Darkness towards the end, where you see those two fight. And it was pretty cool. I mean, do you have a preference between the two? We had Metroplex. We didn't have Triptychon. But let me show you what I've got for Metroplex and Triptychon. They're both the Hasbro, the Titan's Return Triptychon is what I've got, and then the Metroplex was kind of a special edition, but he's huge. These are the original toys, which we had him. The cool thing about Triptychon is that he was motorized and would actually walk. So he and Omega Supreme were cool because they could both walk. But yeah, let me go get Metroplex and then I'll get Triptychon too. As you can see, he's a big boy. So here is my Metroplex. No, I don't have the 4-foot tall one that came out last year. I debated getting it, but I don't know that company very well. And it's kind of 3D printed. I'm waiting for other companies to maybe do a bigger version. But this was a special edition Hasbro one. I still think he looks really cool. And this is the Japanese version. So, like, if I put batteries in him and make him talk, he'll talk in Japanese. And the head can be that. So, yeah, you used to be able to push the button here and get him to talk. And then this is one of his cars, Scamper. And he fits right in here and he can be shooting a gun. It's kind of cool. And then these shoot. But I don't want to break my screen. But yeah, that's Metroplex. The other cool thing is, I think, yeah, you can lift up on the visor and he can have regular eyes. So, pretty cool. Cool figure here. Let me let you look at the cartoon display real quick while I go get Triptychon. Both of these figures are really cool. We would play with friends that had Triptychon and make them fight and stuff. It was a lot of fun. Really cool. Okay. And here's Triptychon. He's the Hasbro version of him, but he still fits in with my Masterpiece collection really well. Good representation. Until they come out with like a 4-foot Masterpiece version, I'm probably gonna stick with these guys. But pretty cool tail. Huge dinosaur. Always thought it was really cool. There's an episode where Octane kind of steals him, and they're on a Middle Eastern country, and they're stealing oil, and they're stealing all these things. And the Aerobots go and attack him, and he's like, they're talking trash. You're too slow, and he's like, don't need speed, have gun breath, and it was a lot of fun. A lot of cool episodes. So that's Tripticon and Metroplex. And the cool thing about those guys fighting is that there were several episodes where they did this, and I thought it was always cool. One of the famous things was Metroplex was able to pick up Tripticon and throw him into the ocean, and he short circuited. That's what happened to Five Faces of Darkness, but still pretty cool, still awesome. Okay, so let's talk about some of the episodes here. One of the strongest themes in season 3 was Rodimus Prime. Difficulty accepting his role as a leader. He's not weak. He's brave, intelligent, and willing to sacrifice himself. However, he's always comparing himself to Optimus Prime. The other Autobots compare him to Prime as well at times, and the audience certainly compares him to Prime. This creates an almost impossible situation. Rodimus is expected to replace one of the most respected characters in Transformers history, and there are 2 episodes that explore this really well. The first is Dark Awakening, and Dark Awakening is one of my favorite episodes of all time, and one of my favorite episodes of season 3. Basically, what happens is the Autobots are being chased across space, and basically they're looking for a place to make repairs, and they come across the mausoleum, the old Autobot mausoleum. And in the mausoleum, Spike and Daniel are with them, and they talk about this is where they buried their old Autobots from the war, and there's a big veil where Optimus Prime's buried. So spoilers for the movie. Anyway, so Optimus Prime basically is not in his crypt, and Daniel sees him, and we find out that Prime is alive. And Decepticons come, and Prime's able to shake them off, but then he turns on his fellow Autobots. And Rodimus wants to give him the Matrix. He does, and he turns on them and basically kind of deactivates them. And then he takes a shuttle and heads back to Cybertron thinking they're dead, and they're really not. They survive, but basically Prime leads the Autobots and tells them that the Quintessons had killed him, and the Quintessons have a base, and he's leading the Autobots to this base. Rodimus, Magnus, and the rest come back, find out that Optimus is kind of leading them into a trap, don't know what's going on, and Rodimus has to fight Optimus Prime. And it's a really cool fight scene at the end. Optimus loses an arm. Basically, Rodimus basically, loses, but Optimus Prime kind of comes to his senses, and we get the original Prime back, and he's basically, I can't do this because I'm corrupted, and he basically kind of says something to the effect that I can't lead them anymore, but you will, and you will save them. And he puts the Matrix back into Hot Rod Rodimus, and basically he orders them all to leave while he kind of sacrifices himself in the Quintessons trap. So it was kind of a cool way to bring him back. It just was a real eerie episode, but I still think it's a very good storytelling. And it shows that Rodimus doesn't cling to power, does not try to protect his position. He believes Optimus is the rightful leader, and he's happy to become Hot Rod again, but ultimately it's about responsibility, and the real reason that Optimus was manipulated by the Quintessons is part of that trap. So it's pretty cool. Do you guys like that episode? Have you seen that episode? Do you remember that episode? I think it's one of the cooler ones. It's one of the better ones of season 3. So, all right, the other Rodimus Prime centric episode that's interesting that actually features Broadside, who they've got a new masterpiece of Broadside out. I don't know if I'm going to get it. There's a Fans Choice one that's coming out next year, so I may wait for that one. It's called The Burden is Hardest to Bear. Basically, Rodimus Prime is kind of questioning himself. It takes place in Japan, which is really cool. They go back to Earth, but they don't have to go back to like the United States. They go to all these different countries, and basically Rodimus is doubting himself, and he kind of wants to become Hot Rod again. He runs into Stunticons, and they road rage, and he gets knocked off the cliff, and the Matrix gets knocked out of him, and the Decepticons steal the Matrix, and he becomes Hot Rod again. As Hot Rod, he basically doesn't want responsibility, doesn't want anything, but then goes to meditate and realizes that he's the only one that can lead use the Matrix and lead the Autobots, because the Matrix chose him, and it's a part of him, which helps him understand his leadership role. Meanwhile, the Decepticons have it. Galvatron tries to put it in his gun. It doesn't do anything for him. He's basically, go take this and throw it away, gives it to Scourge. Scourge puts it in his body, and Scourge just grows like into this huge monster-like thing, and you see it right here. And Scourge kind of beats up Galvatron, takes over leadership of the Decepticons, and goes and attacks the Autobots. And Hot Rod and Scourge fight, and Hot Rod's able to reclaim the Matrix. Galvatron and Cyclonus chase down the Decepticons, and basically Galvatron punishes Scourge, and Rodimus is left understanding his role as a leader better. I thought this was a really good episode. It really allows Rodimus to understand his real role, shows just what kind of leader he can be, and why it's important for him to hold that mantle. Broadside is one of the triple changers, and he turns into an aircraft carrier and a plane, and you see him the far right, and he's actually seen battling combiners, which was kind of cool and interesting, because the toy was smaller like the other triple changers, but in the show he was a bigger bot, kind of like almost like a Jetfire. So, but it's interesting. So what do you guys think about Rodimus Prime? Was he fairly or unfairly criticized? Let me know what you guys think. Okay, next let's talk about Galvatron. And Galvatron was was relatively power hungry and crazy. He lacked Megatron's tact. Megatron was ruthless, arrogant, and power hungry, but he was capable of creating a plan and leading his troops. Galvatron is unstable. He can be brilliant one moment and completely irrational the next. He attacks his own soldiers. At the beginning of Web World, he's like, I want to fight Magnus by myself, and he basically shoots one of his own troops, a sweep, and basically he's obsessed with destruction. And Cyclonus is the only one that kind of can reel him in occasionally. But he realizes that Galvatron is so unstable that he's endangering the entire Decepticon cause, and the rest of the Decepticons don't want to follow him. So he takes him to this world called Web World, where these Planet of the Ape-like creatures right there try and cure him psychologically. And it's kind of a funny, goofy episode. I think it's an okay episode. I don't think it's the greatest episode. A lot of people give it more credit than I think it's deserved. But they try and examine his psychology, and Galvatron is having none of it. He basically is able to resist. It's kind of funny. It's interesting. There's a contract that Cyclonus is given, and he kind of rips it up. Galvatron just wants to destroy everything, and you've got all these crazy creatures in it, and Galvatron just goes nuts and attacks them, and then basically he's able to free himself. Cyclonus comes back for him. He punishes Cyclonus briefly, but then destroys that whole Web World. But it's interesting because there's a hint that they may undo the process and make him Megatron again. So, it's kind of funny and interesting. So, but season 3 has that, and that's a good one for season 3 that I actually think is unique and interesting. By the way, here are the toys of Cyclonus and Scourge. Okay, getting into a couple of other things here. We're going to get into Starscream's Ghost in a minute. So season 3 also continues several older Decepticons, though the original cast is not always given the same attention. Blitzwing and Octane received memorable stories, and Starscream returns in a very unusual way, and we're going to talk about that. But Blitzwing is one that in Five Faces of Darkness, he doesn't believe the Quintessons. He kind of recognizes them, but he vaguely remembers them, but he doesn't trust them, and he's the one that finds out that they're the traitors. And at the very end, basically, he gets exiled. And Octane basically kind of becomes a traitor to the Decepticon cause because he steals Trypticon. Um, and the Decepticons are after him. It was originally supposed to be Blitzwing that they were after, but they rewrote it for Octane because Octane was a new Triple Changer character, and I don't have a representation of Octane. Haven't found a good one yet. They need to make a really good one. Fans Toys needs to make Octane. It'd be pretty cool. But Octane is very key because he gets saved by the Autobots, and then the Decepticons chase him into Cybertron and into the old Decepticon crypt. And in the Decepticon crypt, he sees remains of Thundercracker, Skywarp, and of course, Starscream. And that's where he runs into and meets Starscream's ghost. And I love Starscream's ghost. Chris Latta comes back to voice Starscream, and he'll voice another character that we'll talk about in a few minutes. But Starscream's ghost is great. Um, his death was shocking in Transformers the movie, but we got him again, and he basically inhabits Cyclonus. They basically capture Octane, and they pretend to torture him, and then they lure Galvatron into a trap. Galvatron survives, destroys Cyclonus, but then destroys Starscream's ghost. He realizes it's Starscream. Starscream inhabits another Transformer later on too. So it's cool. It's perfect for Starscream because um, he does all kinds of wacky things, and he kind of tells the Autobots, "Hey, if you help me get rid of Galvatron, I'll make it worth your while." So that's kind of what happens in that episode. And then it has a sequel, and the sequel is Ghost of the Machine. And Ghost of the Machine, he has inhabited Scourge, and basically he goes to Unicron's head, and Unicron will give him a body if he performs 12 labors. So the first labor is Metroplex's eyes, and they steal Metroplex's eyes, as you can see there, and they accidentally break one, and Metroplex just transforms, and he's going nuts because his eyes are destroyed and taken. And so they take one of Trypticon's eyes, and they get him to Unicron. Unicron has eyes again. And then the second labor is they've got to bring the transforming cog from Trypticon. So Starscream basically gets in the body of Trypticon. The Decepticons go after him, and they put his transforming cog into Unicron. And basically you've got Trypticon, and Trypticon starts fighting all the Decepticons. It's wild. It's cool. It's interesting. I like it. We also have Runabout and Runabot that are in this episode, and you see them in the upper right. I've got both of those figures, and I don't have them in robot mode. I've got them in their car modes just because I needed more room, but I'll show you them in a minute. Anyway, so the final labor is they've got to attach Unicron's head to Cybertron, and he's going to use Cybertron as his new body. So he gives Starscream back his body and asks Starscream to make the connection, and Starscream betrays him. And then the Autobots kind of blow Unicron up to where his head goes back in orbit. It sends Starscream flying. He meets up with Galvatron and the rest of the Decepticons, who just start shooting him and presumably killing him again. So, but yeah, that's Starscream's Ghost and Ghost of the Machine. Two of my favorite episodes of this because I love the fact that they brought back Starscream, and two of the episodes that didn't have as many animation errors in them. So let me just show you the car modes of Runabout and Runabot. They're right here. Give me a sec. So here are the two cars. Runabout and Runabot. These were the jump starters that my brother and I both had as kids. Basically, what you could do is you would pull back on them, and then they would spring forward, and they would click open and transform automatically. So cool stuff. Uh, Pretty neat characters. I just have them in car mode because I haven't had a chance to transform them and fit them somewhere on the shelf. Because it's hard to fit them with all my season 3 uh, Decepticons. But all right, let me bring this back up here. So there's them in their cartoon mode. All right, the next episode is probably the best episode of season 3. It actually was fully animated in Japan, and the story is incredible. It's called The Primitives, and it brings together many of the animal-based Transformers, including Dinobots, Predacons, Terracons, Skylinks, and several other primitive beast-based characters. Basically, what happens is this this guy kind of creates Primercon, who goes off and destroys worlds by sucking their energy, and everything's left barren rock. And he gets so large that it's hard to stop him. And there's a hint that this creator may have created Unicron, which is kind of far fetched. Anyway, there's a being that opposes him, which is kind of like a Matrix type thing, and calls on the Primitives because the Primitives are the only ones that can think simply enough to defeat him. And so Autobots and Decepticons kind of combine. You get all the tapes, which I'm going to show you later, of all the animals. And you get the Terracons and the Predacons, along with all the Dinobots, Trypticon, and Skylinks. And they fly off to this planet and they fight Primacon. And Primacon just basically wipes all of them out, except for Grimlock. And Grimlock confronts this guy. And he thinks simply by clicking the reverse switch, and it basically undoes everything that the Primacron did. And you had to think, basically think simply like a primitive. It's very cool. It's praised because it's more detailed and dynamic. It's just a really, really cool episode. One of my favorites. Beautiful animation. Probably the best animated cartoon of Transformers for the G1. It's just awesome. So that's a really cool episode that I really like. I think it's one of the better ones. The next episode I want to talk about is a unique one. As we know, Grimlock is a Dinobot, and he's not exactly the smartest Dinobot. But there's a point where they're trying to shut down like a power core generator in Cybertron, and they go down the depths, and he bites a cord and gets electrocuted and develops a brain. So Cup is with him, and he's like, "I used my molars," and he's very able to talk it articulately, and basically, Grimlock develops a higher intelligence, and the Dinobots kind of desert him because he's too smart for them, and so the Decepticons are on Unicron, and they're draining a certain type of energon, and the Autobots go to try and stop them, and Grimlock goes into Unicron and builds the Technobots. Meanwhile, the Terracons are introduced, and they form Abominus, and Grimlock creates the Technobots and has them form Computron, and basically he transfers his intelligence to Computron, and Computron is a smart combiner versus Abominus, who's brute force and kind of monsters. We had all these, the Technobots and the Terracons, and I'm fixing to show you those guys. But anyway, Computron defeats Abominus, and here are the Terracons and the Technobots. They're pretty cool. We had all of them. Very cool stuff. Now, they are just now getting to these, so Fans Toys is going to create theirs. There's another third-party company that just came out with some Technobots, and I've got one of them that I'm going to show you. It's Strafe. Nobody's made the Terracons, really. There's like a third party that's made ones that are not masterpiece scale. So I didn't get those, but let me show you what I do got. So Okay. So this is Strafe, and he is the left arm of Computron, and he turns into a spaceship. That's pretty cool. But this is Bingo Toys version of him. Pretty big figure. But a lot of cool detail. Comes with swords. Kind of has the samurai look. He doesn't look as much like his G1 counterpart. They're going through for a different aesthetic. Comes with 2 guns and 2 swords, and you can actually clip them to the side, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I'm getting the Bingo set and I'm getting the Fans Toy set, and I'll decide which one looks better as Computron. But they're doing all in one, so he comes with the fist, so you can transform him into the fist and arm of Computron. So it looks like from back. But yeah, this is an awesome figure, and the toys back in the day, Optimus and Computron were awesome. Let me bring them back on so I can show you more of them. The cool thing about Abominus and the Terracons is they were all monsters. So you had Hunger was the 2-headed dragon. Cinder Twin was kind of the 2-headed monster, kind of like Cerberus from Greek mythology. You had Cutthroat, which was kind of a monster bird. You had Blot, who was just a blue monster. And then you had oh, good grief. What is his name? The third one. The other one was kind of a shark-like water monster creature. Starts with an S. But anyway, they were cool. And Technobots were, you had 2 jets. The main body is a jet, and so is Strafe. Then you had a motorcycle, a futuristic car, and a futuristic drill. But that's the only one that I've got so far. Hopefully soon they'll come out with Terracons, and we're getting Technobots. So I've heard Astron's bots may transition and do Terracons next, but we'll see. It's interesting. One third-party company will do one set of figures. The next one will either copy them or do the opposite to try and gain market share. So give me a sec. I'm putting him up. So cool stuff. Okay, let's get back to some of these cool episodes here. Another episode that we'll talk about, which is unique and interesting, is Dweller in the Depths. So this was kind of a straight up horror story in a way. So the Quintessons had a monster that they had created long ago that was in the depths of Cybertron, and they go and they try and activate him. And basically, what he does is he sucks the energy out of Transformers and turns them into vampires. So it's an ancient monster, and it's an energy draining monster, and it's kind of just a horror episode. And basically, if these Transformers, they could go once they were turned into vampires, they could turn others into vampires. So it's just interesting that the writers were willing to experiment with different tones and genres, and they're finally able to stop the monster and turn everybody back. But it's crazy. So you got Autobots and Decepticons, and they have to team up to fight this Dweller in the Depths. So very unique written episode. Okay, another episode that's a little bit cheesy, but kind of fun is Only Human. And this one involves somebody that we might be familiar with. So if you remember, there's a gangster named Drax who is basically running a drug ring or something like that. And the Autobots are kind of investigating him, helping the Earth people out with this. And he goes to meet an old colleague that could help stop the Autobots named Old Snake. who you kind of see in this picture over here. An old snake brings up his old technology called synthoids. And synthoids were kind of organic, robotic, humanistic creatures. They were like body duplicates that were used in another cartoon series called G.I. Joe. So anyway, what happens is the Autobots get captured. It is Springer, Rodimus Prime, RC, and Ultra Magnus, and they are transferred into these human bodies. As you can see right here, there's Ultra Magnus, Springer, Rodimus, and RC. And basically, their bodies are being used by the villains as vehicles to steal and plunder. And so it's interesting that they escape and they try and find a way to get their bodies back. It's kind of interesting because Springer ends up flying himself, which is kind of cool. And basically, they're able to save the day, get their bodies back, and Drax is arrested, but Snake gets away, and Chris Latta voices Snake, and at the very end, he basically says the best part of this is they just don't make terrorists like they used to. And then he holds his arms up like right here and yells, Cobra! And kind of coughs. And it's awesome just for that, the nostalgia G.I. Joe comparison. Otherwise, the episode is kind of meh, but having Cobra Commander in there is the coolest part of the episode. And it's kind of interesting to see the human forms of these guys. So a lot of fun, interesting crossover episode that I kind of liked. But yeah, it's kind of cool. All right, so we talked about Abominus and we talked about Computron. Defensor, who we talked about last night, gets a more prominent role. Bruticus is seen a little bit in it. The Aerobots are seen quite a bit, and Menasor and the Stunticons are seen quite a bit. Predaking's in here as well. There is a third-party Predaking that isn't as big as a Masterpiece that I used to have. I can't find him. He's an older bot, and I hope they redo Predaking. So what I'll do is I'll show you guys. I showed you Strafe, who I had from Computron, but what I can do is I can show you here are the toys. We had a couple of the Predacons, but they were cool. They had the lion, the tiger, the buffalo, the rhinoceros, and the eagle, and those were cool. These are the Terracons, as I mentioned before. And these are the Technobots. Those were the new ones that were introduced. But what I will show you right here is I'll go and get my Fans Toys versions of Superion and Menasor real quick. Give me just a moment. I gotta go grab those from the other room because they look a little bit different from the Menasor and Superion I showed you last night. Well, leg just fell off of Superion. Let's put that back on. Hang on, let me go get Menasor real quick. Okay, so Advanced Toys came out with their version. I showed you the bots last night, but rather than spend it on two sets of them so you could form Superion and still have the figures, or just taking the figures and forming them, there's a third-party company that came out with limb bots and a base bot that would go in the middle so that you could still form Superion and buy it for cheaper than buying all the figures again, because all the figures combined cost, over $1,000. So if you're buying them twice, you're spending $2,000. But you can use the parts, and this is Superion with those parts. I think he looks really cool. His articulation's really great. He's super heavy because he's got a lot of die cast, and not necessarily in the limbs, but in the main body here. But the paint is beautiful. And look at just how big that gun is. I mean, I can hold this thing in my hand like that. I mean, that's huge. So, but yeah, this guy's a big boy. And yes, I reattached the leg that fell off. If you saw it when I first put it down, I was like, oh, okay, good. My favorite one, air raid. All right, and Menosaur is right over here. Let me grab him. So same thing for the Fans Toys, Stunticons. You can get the other as one of them falls off. So it's just a car that's 3D printed that they made. But what you can do is use these and get them for cheaper, and that way you can form your Menosaur without having to use your Fans Toys figures. Yeah, Menosaur. So I've got two of these guys. This one looks a little bit better paint, and then I put the main thing around his head, so kind of looks cool. Anyway, that's my version of Fans Toys, Minotaur, and Superion. Let me put these guys up real quick. Add this back to the stage so you can see Minotaur and Superion there. Give me one moment. Let me put these guys back really quick. They also weigh a whole lot. So, I mean, they're heavier than most other bots, even though these limbs are light. This whole section's die cast and very heavy. Okay, combiners are some of my favorites. As a kid, like I said, we had all of Superion, we had all of Defensor. We only had three Stunticons, we had two Combaticons, we had all the Terracons, all the Technobots. So we had all three of the Autobot combiners. We only had two of the Predacons. But I had friends who had all the Predacons, everything. I had some friends that had every single Transformer. It was just crazy. All right. So let's get into one of the most beloved episodes of season 3, The Return of Optimus Prime. So we now arrive at one of the most important moments in the entire G1 series, The Return of Optimus Prime. So Optimus's death in Transformers movie was deeply upsetting for many young fans. I'll tell you more about that on Saturday. Optimus Prime's death in Transformers was critical, and he was the moral center of the series. He represented courage, responsibility, compassion, and sacrifice. And if you watch the last couple nights, you'll find out that he also was kind of patterned after John Wayne in a way. So, pretty cool with that. Anyway, so season 3 attempted to move forward with Rodimus Prime, but Optimus remained enormously popular. Basically, some of the writers said that you shouldn't have done that. You should have kept Optimus Prime alive. But anyway, what happens in this episode is that Optimus' body is found by scientists who are testing out a metal that's impervious to sunlight, so they can go closer to the sun and study the sun. And they take his body back, and it's one of the scientists holds a grudge against the Transformers because he was injured in an attack from Megatron and Optimus Prime from back in the day. And it's basically him, and then the daughter of the other scientist is also with them, and she's a scientist too. They bring Optimus back to the laboratory, and they get attacked by the Decepticons, who steal the alloy for their material. And the guy's daughter gets hurt, and in that battle between Computron and Abominus, she gets hurt. First Aid's able to save her and basically give her robotic legs so she can walk again. But Swafford and Morgan are the names of the scientists. They decide to get revenge on the Autobots. They discovered a spore that's a hate plague that they've got in rats, and they think that if they lure the Autobots into the trap, they can have the hate plague on them, and then they'll attack and destroy each other. So they lure him in with Optimus's body. Jessica, who's the daughter, warns the Autobots. Rodimus Prime gets Defensor and Superion and everybody he can, and Ultra Magnus. They go in the back way. Rodimus goes in the front, thinking, they think that they'll get the body out of the back, and Rodimus will be the one that'll distract Swafford and Morgan. And basically, the Autobots get into a trap. They're given the hate plague, and they start fighting one another. And the hate plague spreads by touching one another. So they retrieve Optimus's body. Rodimus is trying to save him, and then the hate plague goes on, and Superion becomes infected. Defensor and Superion kind of fight. Defensor is trying to save the humans, and then he gets infected. Basically, Rodimus commands Skylinks to go get a Quintesson to try and revive Optimus Prime, because Optimus Prime was revived by them in Dark Awakening. And Wreck-Gar's there. They shut down Metroplex so he can't get infected. Magnus is coming after them. Magnus infects Wreck-Gar. Wreck-Gar talks TV, and Wreck-Gar basically infects Rodimus, and he's like, I'm a pepper. Wouldn't you like to be a pepper too? So the crisis is so large. Meanwhile, Skylinks gets a Quintesson, and the Quintesson is able to revive him, and Optimus Prime is brought back to life at the end of this episode. And it's really kind of cool. It's pretty awesome. It's unique. But the problem is Prime doesn't have the Matrix. And basically, they have a couple of injured Autobots that they're able to revive. Cup and Blur, Bumblebee, and Steeljaw, who's one of Blaster's tapes. Bumblebee gets a new paint job and becomes Goldbug. And basically, Optimus Prime, in order to get the Matrix away from Rodimus, has to be coated with a special alloy. And so what they have to do is go to Char, the Decepticons' planet, and essentially what they have to do is convince Galvatron, who's not infected by the hate plague and is fighting his own troops, to show them where the alloy is. And there's a great line that Optimus says, Galvatron says, "How is it that you live?" And he's like, "You can trust me." And Optimus Prime's basically, "I know you too well, Galvatron," because he knows who he is. Anyway, so Galvatron takes them to where that is. Galvatron gets infected. Everybody gets infected except Skylinks and Optimus. They make it back to Metroplex, where the Quintessons coats Prime. Prime goes after Rodimus. Rodimus and Prime fight. He's impervious to heat and everything. Skylinks gets infected, but Optimus gets the Matrix back. Goes back to where the Quintesson is. They're barricaded within Metroplex. Galvatron and the rest of the infected Transformers are after him. He goes in the Matrix of Leadership and finds out that only wisdom can save them. And Galvatron, you can see at the top right here, is basically, never Quintesson, this world is all ours. Optimus Prime shall die again. And right when he's about to hit him with that metal thing right here, Optimus wakes up, opens the Matrix. You got the touch playing, and basically opening up the Matrix cures everybody the plague. And Optimus Prime is back again. So it was kind of cool, kind of cool way to bring him back. So pretty awesome. What did you think of this episode? Was it cool to bring Prime back like that? Let me know in the comments below. All right, let me talk to you about some other characters from Season 3 that I've got Masterpiece of. Particularly, I'm going to talk about the Autobot and Decepticon tapes. So let me get those guys real quick for you. They're right over here. So I'll bring them all 7 of them. Hang on one sec. Okay, so first off, I'll show you the second version of Soundwave that I got. A little bit different paint job, kind of a darker metallic color, kind of a black with gold. Still looks really cool. So this is like my season 3, 4 Soundwave. If you follow a Japanese cartoon, he was rebuilt into this figure, Sound Blaster. Well, Sound Blaster, and then he's rebuilt into this in the Japanese cartoon. But I still think he looks cool, and he comes with one of the Decepticon tapes that we had as a kid, Rat Bat, and so these are the fan stories versions of these. They actually turn into actual tapes that'll fit inside Soundwave. But this is Rat Bat. And Rat Bat has a significant role in Season 3 because he can go into dark places and spy on them like Laserbeak used to. But he's pretty cool. He has a bigger role actually in the comic book than he does in the cartoon. But kind of cool. Has these guns and lasers. And there's actually a bigger version of him that's coming out. I don't know if I'll get him, but you'll see what I mean when I say bigger version in a minute. And then the Decepticons decided on some tape dinosaurs. And here is Overkill and Slugfest. Gun. So pretty cool. They only really appear in one episode called The Primitives. I think they might appear in one other one, but they don't have a significant role. But they're still pretty cool. I mean, mini dinosaurs on the Decepticon side, no less. So, and then we got the Autobot tapes. Now, I do have the Fans Choice tapes that actually turn into tapes that um, fit into Blaster, but they came out with bigger versions, which I think are better representations of the characters, made by Ocular Max. And Ocular Max actually has these that turn into cassette tapes that are the size of the tapes that we had as kids. So if you remember buying tapes, these guys transform into that. And I've got Rewind and Eject, who are the kind of robots. And that's what they look like. And then Ramhorn and Steeljaw. And I'll let you look closer at Steeljaw here. He's a lion. And you can see kind of the tape kind of stuff where I could transform it into an actual cassette that would fit in a tape deck that I still have. And then here's Ramhorn. He's a more recent purchase. Head sculpt's pretty cool. And the Autobot tapes played a significant role in several episodes. There's an episode where Daniel and Grimlock get stuck in this other world, and basically Steeljaw kind of tracks them down and finds out where they went, and they go after them. And it's kind of a magic world that a Quintesson was banished to, and the Autobots have to overcome magic and free the Golden One in that world to use magic to help them get back. And it's kind of a sci-fi kind of medieval kind of episode, and it's interesting. So yeah, those are my Autobot tapes. Kind of cool. All right, let me put these guys up, and then I'll get the mini bots. Okay. So we got some of the mini bots here. Bumblebee's right there with them, but So, the first one I'll talk about really quick that I don't have pictured here is Wheelie, and this is an older version, but he still works. He's a little bit clunky. He's more plastic than die-cast, but he fits in with my movie bots. And Wheelie's prominent. He becomes real close friends to Daniel. It's kind of like a Bumblebee Spike relationship. There's several different episodes that feature Wheelie. He talks in rhymes. He's also in the movie. Um, it's a pretty good representation. They'll probably another Fans Toys or somebody will probably do him again, and I'll probably replace him. But he's a pretty cool figure. And then they've got 4 Autobots. They've come out with 3 of them. Fans Toys have. They kind of were in the same mold as I can't remember this guy's name, but he's in the mold of Gears. It's kind of cool. Got some die cast. Turns into a truck. Outbacks featured prominently, more prominently than any of the other mini bots besides Wheelie. He's an Australian voice, and he is a remold of Braun. And he turns into like a Range Rover, an SUV. And the last one is Pipes, who was kind of a retool of Huffer. He has a major role in Five Faces of Darkness, and then a couple other things. He's more of a mechanic, but he turns into a truck just like Huffer. I like the paint on the face. It's really cool. Beautiful blue. So, but yeah, those are the mini bots that I've got. So. All right, let me put these guys up real quick, and we'll get into season 4. Okay, 1 second here. All right. Season 4 and the rebirth. So, season 4 is only 3 episodes long. It was originally supposed to be 5, but they were basically discontinuing the cartoon and some of the toy line. And this is where Transformers started to basically go downhill. And essentially, this was the end of the G1. Uh, so it's a 3-part story called Rebirth. The story introduces a huge number of new characters and the concepts of very short amount of time. Headmasters, Target Masters, Nebulos, the Hive, Fortress Maximus, Scorponok, and several new Autobot and Decepticon teams. Story begins with Decepticons attempting to gain access to the plasma energy chamber that Optimus Prime had kept on Earth. And Optimus is on Earth. Every Decepticon in the known galaxy comes and attacks it. They steal the key to the plasma energy chamber, and they think it's going to provide them with power. So they go to Cybertron and attack Cybertron. And basically, what happens is Scourge puts the key in there. The plasma energy knocks him or knocks the Autobots who try and chase him in a ship. They get the key back, but then are knocked all the way across the universe and end up Nebulos. The Decepticons go chase after them, and Nebulos is divided in a conflict involving the Hive, which is a group that controls much of the planet, their advanced technology. The Autobots ally themselves with several Nebulons who become the heads of the Headmaster Transformers. The main Autobot Headmasters include Chromedome, Hardhead, Brainstorm, Highbrow, Each Transformer combines with the smaller partner who becomes the robot's head. The Decepticon headmasters include Mindwipe, Skullcruncher, and Weirdwolf. These characters have some of the most distinctive monster and animal designs in the 87 toy line. They also include Fortress Maximus and Scorponok. And so basically, they go to Nebulos, and the Autobots have the key. The Decepticons steal it, or try and take it back. The Autobots are able to defeat them with headmasters. The Decepticons then create target masters. So it's interesting because the headmaster gimmick is clever because smaller figures has multiple functions. It can act as a pilot and become the heads of the robots. It also meant losing smaller figure was a serious problem if you had the toys. And then target masters were introduced. The target masters were the weapons. So the Decepticons introduced target masters, and the target masters will become the weapons. The Autobots figure this out and then form their own target masters. So you've got Autobot target masters, Point Blank, Crosshairs, Sure Shot. Decepticons include Trigger Happy, Misfire, and Slug Slinger. Each character, such as Hot Rod, Cup, Blur, also receive target masters. So does Cyclonus and Scourge. The headmasters and target masters add new play features to the line. However, they also represented a period when the gimmick sometimes became more important than the character, which is true. So you had this episode Rebirth where you had headmasters and target masters. Basically, they go back with the key. The Decepticons get the key. They're going to open the plasma energy chamber and basically use Cybertron to lure the sun and basically destroy the Earth and Cybertron. But they're found out that life will find a way, and that the organic energy is what's needed. So Spike is the one that becomes the head of Fortress Maximus, or Cerebros that becomes the head of Fortress Maximus. And what he does is he gets them to take the energy from the sun and put it in a Vector Sigma to create a golden age. The Decepticons thinking that they're going to destroy Cybertron, leave on Scorponok, and basically the plasma energy that rebirths Cybertron knocks the Scorponok out of orbit. So that's how that ends, and that's how kind of the series ends. But yeah, Alphatron's involved. Optimus Prime goes and visits Alphatron within the Matrix, and these are the toys. And we had 3 of the 4 headmasters. We had Highbrow, Brainstorm, and Hardhead. So we had these 3 right here. And then we had only one of the Decepticon headmasters, Mindwipe, but we also had one of the horror ones, Snapdragon. A friend of mine had Apeface. Another friend had both of these guys. And another friend had this. So we saw them all. This is what they look like. And let me bring out some of my Decepticon headmasters because I've only got the Decepticons. I don't have any of the Autobot ones. They made some of the Autobot ones on a different toy line, but I'm kind of waiting for Fans Toys to do it. And apparently Fans Toys is looking to do Chrome Dome soon, and so I hope to get him soon, but we'll see. So let me bring out those figures for you. And of course, I'll bring out Scorponok and Fortress Maximus. So hang on. All right, so I've got the main 3 Decepticons that I'll show you, and then I'll show you the Horicons. Then I'll show you Cerebros, the Japanese version of him that I have the Fans Toys did. But this is Mindwipe, who turns into a giant bat. Pretty cool figure here. Then we have Weird Wolf, who's one of the older Vance toys. His feet don't work as well, but this is Weird Wolf, who turns into a wolf. Skull Cruncher, so it's pretty awesome. Turns into an alligator, giant alligator. It's pretty awesome here. And he does have a sword that's his tail that always falls out. So give me a sec and I'll bring out the other two. Okay, we have 8-Face and Snapdragon. Eight-Face. He turns into a gorilla, a plane, and a robot. So he's a triple changer. He's very heavy on the back because he's got all this kibble for his plane mode. Still pretty cool figure. And here's Snapdragon. I had him as a kid. Turns into robot, dragon, and plane. You can kind of see the dragon face right there. Not as kibbly as 8-Face and back, but still pretty big hands. So, all right, give me a sec, and I'll bring out like Cerebros, and then I'll bring out Fortress Maximus and Scorponok for you. Okay. So Fans Toys came out with their Japanese version of Cerebros. And here's what he looks like. There's speculation they're supposed to come out with a 4-foot tall Fortress Maximus in the next couple of years, and he's going to come out like in segments with arms and legs. I'll probably get him too, and I'll probably get another copy of him to be his head. But this is what this guy looks like. And I think I can pull this down easily. Let's see. He's got the headmaster gimmick with the tech spec. So you can put the head in and it would show the tech specs. Strength, endurance, intelligence, those kind of things. So cool stuff. Let me show you Fortress Maximus. See if I've got. See him fighting up here, so I'll give you that visual, and I'll show you Fortress Maximus and Trypticon. Okay. Okay, so this is actually the Hasbro Fortress Maximus that came out when they did the latest Transformer line. And then it's got third-party parts. So it's got the third-party guns and guns in front and the actual gun that comes with them. But yeah, he's huge. He's as big as like Omega Supreme, and almost my combiners are almost as big as he is. I can't believe that they're going to come out with a 4'1" soon. I don't know if I'll be able to hold the 4'1" up. This is like 2 feet right here. And Fortress Maximus as a toy was unique because he's one of the most expensive Transformers from back in the day, and he was the largest at the time. So he was 2 feet tall back in the day, and one of my friends had him, and he was a beast, huge. So, but yeah, that's Fort Max, and let me go get Scorponok real quick. So here's my Scorponok. He's got some third-party features to him, including the gun, and the gun's up there, and then extenders for his legs, which make his legs a little bit more flimsy. But as you can see, he's very, very big. But yeah, these were city bots. He turns into a scorpion and a base and a robot, and then Fortress Maximus turns into a base, a battle station, and a robot. Cool stuff. All right, go put him up. All right. So, like I said, we got the Target Masters as well. And so we have a couple of those. I've got the guns I can show you real quick. And I'll also show you Punch Counterpunch because they actually made one of him. But these are the Target Masters, the Autobots and Decepticons. This is what they look like in toy right here. Let me go grab those guns real quick. Okay. So here are the little target masters from the Autobot side. They came with Hot Rod and Cup and Blur. They turn into guns. Kind of cool. I don't use them because it's harder for them to hold. But those are the Autobot ones. And then here's Punch, Counterpunch. He's like the spy. He's an Autobot, and then he turns into a Decepticon and also to a car. Kind of a cool little character. And then I'll show you the Decepticon target masters real quick. Two that came with Scourge and Cyclonus right there. And, you know, X-Transbots have come out with the Target Master robots. I haven't decided on whether I'm going to get those yet or wait on Fans Toys, but we'll see. So, pretty cool stuff. Pretty interesting stuff. But yeah, that's what these Target Masters. We didn't have any of them. My friends had a bunch of them. This is like around the time that I was done with the Transformers. So, all right. So, what did you guys think of season 3 and season 4? What worked? What did not work? You know, I thought what worked was that they explored more Cybertron and the galaxy. They introduced new characters. They give us cool city, giant robot battles, and more combiners. They had science fiction, horror, comedy, political stories, mythology, good stuff. Rodimus' struggle with leadership was good on some episodes, annoying on others. Galvatron's instability was interesting at times and then annoying at others. The animation quality was very inconsistent and it really bothered me quite a bit. Some episodes look great, others look terrible. Carnage at Sea Minder is probably the worst episode ever in Transformers history, and it's in season 3. The change in the original cast did happen very quickly. Daniel was a little bit annoying. Rodimus Prime never really was allowed to become the leader or escaped Optimus' shadow. And the rebirth just ended in 3 episodes, and that was it for the cartoon series. So, but there's still some great episodes, and I still like it today. So my final verdict on season 3 is that it's not as consistent as the first 2 seasons, but it has, you know, more ambition that it's taking. It takes more risks, and it has a different feel. And I think it's unique going back and watching it and watching the stories of these characters and learning about these new ones. And I bought the Japanese episodes of Headmasters. It's completely different, but it's unique and interesting. So, what's your favorite episode from episode 3? Did you like Prime coming back? What are your thoughts on it? Let me know in the comments below. And let me see about the poll and ending the poll here. Give me a sec here. If I can pull that back up. Go off to. There it is. All right. Let's see what you guys thought. So ending the poll. Okay, so how do you feel about G1 season 3? It has some interesting episodes. Wins the day with 83%. Minus the animation errors, good, 17%. nobody thought it was complete garbage, or they felt they were done after the movie. So that's the final verdict. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. The comments below. Tell me what else you liked about Transformers. Coming up on my channel, we've got Transformers the movie, and I'll probably do that Saturday afternoon, probably around 5:30. I've got a wedding that I'm going to at 1:30. So as soon as I get back from that, I'll probably make it 5:30 just to give me time, and that way it won't interfere with your Saturday evening, because it'll only take maybe an hour and a half to go through the movie. I won't have to go through figures from the movie because you've already seen them. And then on Sunday, if you're still around, Sunday afternoon, Heather will be back, and we are doing Masters of the Air episodes 5 and 6. So that's what's coming up on Rob Ride's Next Pop Culture. So hope you guys liked this. Hope you enjoyed going through season 3 of Transformers and some of the better episodes, and talking about these wonderful characters. And I hope it was a trip down memory lane for a lot of you guys. If you're Gen X like me and played with these toys or had them as kids, I hope this is a great reminder of those wonderful days and wonderful times. But hope to see you guys as we talk about Transformers, the movie, and celebrate its 40th anniversary coming up in a few days on Saturday. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, everybody.